Welcome to Inside Central Oregon, a weekly public affairs program from Horizon Broadcasting Group. The opinions expressed on this program are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of this station. Here's your host of Inside Central Oregon, Bill Baker.
Talking with Richard Groves, founder of Sacred Art of Living Center in Bend. Richard, for those that don't know, what is the Sacred Art Living Center?
Well, we've been here in Bend for about 15 years now. This is our anniversary week, actually. And we began as a center for training and education for people who are working in caregiving professions, doctors, nurses, hospice workers. That was really our focus originally. And then as time's gone on, the work has expanded considerably, and I would say now we're a center for education in not just end-of-life care, but also in spirituality from all different faith traditions, cultural education at the end of life, as well as aspects of how that work is important just for those of us who are living. It's not just at the end of life, but a lot of the work that we focus on helps people look at the important questions of life around meaning and relationships and forgiveness. And our work and our retreats and our workshops seem to both inspire people and also challenge them to go back to life and live life more fully.
Sounds similar to hospice.
You know, that's originally what it came out of. My wife and I worked here in hospice for about 10 years in the community. And then we took a little sabbatical time and realized we had learned so many great lessons. We were hoping there could be a place to share those with larger populations. So we work now with faith communities of all backgrounds and with senior centers and with schools and up at the college and just in lots of different venues.
So this is your 15-year anniversary. You've seen this organization grow a bit.
We have. It was really intended originally for the Northwest. We were going to do programs here in Oregon and Washington State. And now we've had almost 17,000 people that have graduated from our two-year training programs, not just here in North America, but in Europe, Asia, just all over the world, really. Looking
at your website, you have a lot of programs to offer.
Yeah, we have a number of different trainings. Probably our main work is called The Sacred Art of Living and Dying. And it's a 2-year, 4-part series where people come together. As I say, we do the program now all over in many locations. And they come together for 2 days just to really deepen in what this work is about. And then they get some skills and training to go back to their professions or maybe their families and their communities, better equipped to handle illness and life crises and certainly the end of life, but also just the kind of normal things that happen with living, with aging and loss, and not just loss through death, but there's a lot of people in our community who suffer that same kind of life crisis when they lose a job or when they go through divorce. And so it's kind of expanded now where the Sacred Art of Living teaches principles for people just to deal with all of those kinds of life changes. Bend is one of the places where we do our programs, but then we have trained teams that go out on the road. And I'll be traveling this spring to Ireland to teach over there, and I've taught in Japan and China and Philippines and Thailand. So we also go to other countries, and we have trained facilitators that don't make it a requirement that everyone has to come here to Bend. Certainly people are welcome to do that, but we do the programs regionally wherever folks would like to have us sponsor them.
You've had some recent events when it comes to end-of-life care, though. These events seem more festive and Celtic, St. Paddy's Day here.
Right. Well, it's part of the tradition that we teach a lot about in the Celtic tradition. There's sort of that ability to hold the tension of both life and death together. And certainly those are poignant and tough times for people when you've gone through loss and grief. But also, on the other side of it, there's an aspect of remembering that person and celebrating their life. And the Celts, the Irish in particular, seem to be particularly good at doing that. So we thought with St. Patrick's Day coming up, even though I myself am not Irish, it would be a great time to maybe bring that tradition together.
And for those that are you mentioned maybe a loss of a loved one, but also a loss of a job. There's been a lot of that going around, particularly here in Central Oregon. What can you tell them, or how could they get more help?
Well, it's the same. It's some of the same principles, believe it or not, that affect people. You can imagine when there's something that's very important to you and you lose it, whether it's a job or a profession or your health or your house because of foreclosure, or the loss of a loved one. They all have a huge emotional impact on people. And, people can get depressed, they can numb out, they can turn to substance abuse and other kinds of behaviors that aren't healthy. And so a big part of what we do is provide a place for people to come with those stories. First of all, so they can realize they're not alone. There's a lot of people, probably if you're out in the general community, most everybody's grieving the loss of something. And when you come together and you tell your stories, first of all, you don't feel alone. That's great. But secondly, there really are some tools, some things that you can do that can support yourself and your family and friends through a difficult time like that. And so a big part of what we do is offer people some of those wonderful principles and teachings that, as I say, come from all different religious and spiritual and cultural backgrounds. And people leave feeling not like it cured the problem, but that it helped put it in a new frame of focus. And it gives people some sense of hope and meaning going forward. And people can also call the center about any of these offerings. The number here is 541-383-4179. And the other thing I always tell people is to check out our website. It's I think one of the really remarkable websites in Central Oregon. It's sacredartofliving.org. And that's art, A-R-T, not heart. Sometimes people get it confused. But if you Google that or you go to that website, there's hundreds of pages there of inspiring music and video teachings and things that are just free for the community.
Sacredartofliving.org, and a lot to take in, a lot of programs you offer.
We do, and we're a resource just right here in town. We're close to Fred Meyer Parking Lot Shopping Center, so it's very easy to find. And there's a community lending library here and a bookstore, and just some great human beings and volunteers who would like to support people. So if you have any needs along the lines of what I've been talking about, just come by sometime and drop in, and we'd love to have you as a guest.
Richard Groves, the founder of Sacred Art of Living, and for more information, you can go to sacredartofliving.org.
You're listening to Inside Central Oregon, a weekly public affairs program from Horizon Broadcasting Group.